Hey, Zero episode 47 starts right now. You are joining us live on the broadcast or listening in podcast form. Either way, you're a legend. I'm your host, Brandon Davis. Joining me today, we got Jamie Jirac.
Morning.
We got Jenna Anderson.
Hey, everybody.
And we also have, of course, Aaron Perry.
Hey, guys. Big show. Big arrow.
It's gonna be a chonky one.
We love a chonky epi. So it's going to be fun. We all have sparkly new cameras where you can count the pores on our faces. I'm a little blurry. Anyway, so that was well-timed. Show's off to a great start. We have a cool show today. We're going to talk a lot about Spider-Man. We did a quarantine watch party of Spider-Man Homecoming last night. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the little nuggets that came out of that. We're going to rank Spider-Man movies. I don't know if I told you guys we're doing that today, so everybody's on the spot. Ooh, saucy day. And we're going to talk about Hawkeye episode 3. But you know the drill. We start with the news, and the biggest news of the year is that we crossed 1 million listeners. Thank you to Jenna for adding that to the rundown here. I have forgotten to mention that. I had a fancy graphic made up by the comic book graphic designers. We shared it. We love you guys. And we have crossed 1 million listens across all platforms. So, I mean, there's just thank you. That's really,
It's so wild. Also, I have to say, everybody who is tweeting at us that we're in their Spotify Wrapped, that just makes me so happy. Like, keep it coming, because it is just awesome to see that.
Yeah.
I missed that. Oh, I love that.
What a year it's been. Can you believe we've been doing this for 47 weeks?
That's so wild.
WandaVision started 47 weeks ago.
Wow.
It feels like it's been in my life forever, to be honest.
It is on you forever. It will be with you for the rest of your life.
Oh, like literally true.
We have been here since before Jamie's WandaVision tattoo. When the show started, life was very different.
Two tattoos.
Two tattoos. That's right. So listen, thank you guys so much for helping us cross that 1 billion mark. It's been a hell of a ride. We've had some amazing guests. We've had some great moments. Bust out the fan cams and make us all look cool. And we will just continue to hopefully hit 2 million next year. So 3 million total. I want 100 million. Forget it. Whatever. This show is going to go to the moon. So invest now. All right. Spider-Man Homecoming watch party was last night. At the last minute, we had Jonthan Goldstein join us, who wrote the movie. Jonthan Goldstein, if you're not familiar with his work, has written Game Night, Vacation. He's working on the upcoming Dungeons and Dragons movie. He wrote Horrible Bosses. He's directed a couple of those. Game Night was one of them, I believe. And he's just a super talented guy. John Francis Daley and Jonthan Goldstein wrote Spider-Man Homecoming. So I actually just tweeted a couple days ago, and I'm sure a few of you saw this, about I love that scene with Michael Keaton in Homecoming where the light changes. I think it's a masterpiece in itself. And Jonthan Goldstein somehow saw the tweet and responded with like the little hands, like thank you emoji. And then I was just like, dude, join our watch party. And we ended up DMing back and forth. I talked with his reps. We all kind of made it happen. And yesterday in the middle of the day, he was like, yo, I'm in for tonight. So that was really cool to see how that came together really at the last minute. We had thousands of tweets last night. That was really, really cool. It was the most fun watch party in a while. And some of the little nuggets that Jonthan Goldstein dropped included that they had written other Avengers PSAs, like the Captain America PSA. So I got to start right there. I saw somebody, I don't know if it was Jim or somebody else at the watch party, said, we need a Bruce Banner talking about anger management PSA.
I know. I think it was Jim who tweeted that. I love that. I need to see that so much.
Can you guys think off the top of your head, I know we didn't really prepare for this, of other PSAs that could have fit? Because he didn't tell us which. I asked him if they filmed any, and he said they never made it to production. Only the Captain America ones made it. But
I'm almost like, imagine Tony Stark talking about like lab safety of like use the eye wash and wear gloves and do all of this stuff in science class. Like I could totally see him and Banner maybe doing that. Like that would be fun.
All right, listen, we're not gonna put our eyes near the fires here. The chemicals, all right, everybody. That's what we're gonna do. Wow, I do a bad Tony Stark, but at least today's impression is out of the way.
That was sudden.
That was. I'm so sorry. Yeah, all right. Well, I think that was a fun little nugget. Also, he said that that driving scene that I was talking about that got Jonthan Goldstein to join us was an homage to Hitchcock, where like the audience knows about something terrible, but like the characters aren't quite onto it yet. That just speaks for itself. They were a little skeptic about the spider suit talking because I said this, and I'm pairing this with the fact that I asked him when you were writing for Iron Man / Tony, Like, that was there kind of like well, we only have Downey for X amount of days, so write accordingly. And he said, well, yeah, we knew we only had him for limited time, but also we never wanted this to become an Iron Man movie. Like, and it, in some ways, I know a lot of people have their gripes with it that Iron Man and Tony Stark influenced Spider-Man's story so much in the MCU, but it does very much stay Peter Parker's origin story. And he also mentioned how the crux of the film is when Tony says, if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve it. So I thought that was really interesting that they were skeptic about the spider suit talking and all the Iron Man stuff, yet they made it work. Personally, I think they made it work. I love Homecoming. Do you guys think where do you guys fall on the Tony Stark injection into the Peter story for the MCU?
Homecoming's my favorite Spider-Man movie. Spoiler alert for our list later. So I love it. I don't think he's in it too much. I think he's in it just enough to and I like the influence of it all. I think it's really sweet. And above all, Homecoming's a teen movie, and I love teen movies. And you need that kind of Iron Man type character in a movie like that.
Yeah. I'm fine with it. Aaron, your face says you have thoughts.
I just try not to give away the milk before it's time, because I have something I've been talking with Spencer about for like 2 months, writing about the Iron Man Jr. conversation and how sort of that just dictates the discourse around these movies. And with Jamie, I don't think that Homecoming is bad at all. Like, I don't think that Iron Man's in it too much.
I wouldn't be offended if you did, for the record.
I mean, but we don't, so we don't have to. We don't disagree about much anyway. I just feel like for a lot of people, they put their own sort of like their upbringing on Peter, and that millennials and like boomers were raised in a very different way than Zoomers have been, and to see him kind of need someone to like help him out more makes all the sense in the world to me. If you taught any college class in the last 5 years, you've seen some things for some young people that you probably wouldn't expect out of someone who was 20 or 21, and you're like, really? Hi, how you doing, Mrs. Whatever your name is? I'm confused. This is not a parent-teacher conference. This is actually a class. Why are you here? So we'll see. Keep it locked. We'll talk about this some more. I'm sure that when I write that thing, that we'll probably end up talking about it on here.
I look forward to your thoughts.
Me too. Yeah.
The Comicbook.com gets the exclusive, not Phase Zero.
No.
After all, that is what pays the bills.
Mm-hmm.
The site is what pays the bills, so that's probably a smart choice. The film originally was going to start with Peter's YouTube video, then they ended up adding the Michael Keaton and the damage control sequence late in the film. Unfortunately, I couldn't get Jonthan Goldstein to say anything about Avengers Tower. I tried. You knew I was going to try. And also he didn't comment on that 8 years later thing, which to this day, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense, because that would mean this like post snap is 2025.
Yeah, there's no fixing that flub, and it's like the dumbest mistake.
Well, don't say that there's no way to fix the flub. We have time travel. I mean, you're gonna be mad when No Way Home spits him out in 2020 somehow,
I just feel like they're never going to admit that it was a screw up.
Oh no, absolutely not.
I remember.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jenna.
No, that is a very comic booky thing. Like there are so many instances in comics over the years where it's like, oh, this little continuity error completely breaks everything when you really break it down. So it's like I've learned to make peace with it, but it does really frustrate me every time I think about it. Of like just the logic of it all just falls apart completely.
If this was a Disney Plus show, they would have changed it. But I remember watching the movie for the first time and being like, what? 8 years? Like, do I not know the MCU here? When are we? Because that would have been the future back in when this movie came out. This movie would have been 3 years in the future for people watching it. Anyway, all right. Well, yeah, that's a little fun recap of our Spider-Man Homecoming watch party. We have one more watch party on the road to No Way Home. It's going to be Spider-Man Far From Home 2 weeks from last night. You press play at 9 p.m. Eastern time. You tweet along using hashtag quarantine watch party. I also want to shout out, I saw a comment here in the Twitch comment section. Shout out to everybody who follows us on Twitch and watches this. Thank you for that. Thor doing a weightlifting PSA would have been good. I also think Thor is like a construction worker talking about hammer safety. Could have been really good too. The comments.
Yeah, what's a weightlifting PSA? Like gym safety?
Like how to like safely lift stuff and not like drop it on you. I don't know.
You're gonna make me do another impression.
Always wipe down your machines.
That's right.
Okay.
I'm just picturing village people now. Now that he's saying like construction worker, I'm just picturing just full village people now.
Doth thou lifteth thou weights? All right, I'm done. It's it. I'm retiring it for the day. I'm so sorry for everybody who just unsubscribed. It's my fault. Spider-Man No Way Home tickets went on sale, and they went kind of crazy. So we're all going to I want to hear how everybody got their tickets. It was quite an adventure for some of us and easier for others. Shade. It outsold Infinity War, Rogue One, and Black Widow in the first 2 hours in terms of pre-sales, not like total box office, but it was the biggest pre-sale opening first day since Endgame. It did not sell more than Endgame. I know there's a lot of confusion on that. It made a lot of money in a day. I think it was like $35 million in the first day. I think I saw that. I'm not 100% sure if that's accurate, but I'm pretty sure it made a lot of money. That's it. Just the sites crashed. Cinemark, AMC, Regal, Fandango, everything crashed. It took a long time for people to try. That's what kind of puzzles me. How did it outsell those movies in 2 hours when it seemed like nobody could buy tickets for 2 hours? Like what? Okay. Anyway, somebody's lying. No, Fandango wouldn't do that. I love my friends at Fandango. Shout out to Eric Davis for the great Amy Pascal interview, which we're going to touch on in just a minute. But yeah, Aaron, did you buy tickets yet?
Yeah, well, so I'm a veteran of collecting sneakers, so pulling up these L's on the sneakers app has prepared me for just coming up absolutely fruitless for at least 15 minutes. I'm like, dude, what? I'm like, I have flashbacks, like Vietnam flashbacks to like trying to get a pair of Air Yeezys or, you know, any weird release, any pair of Jordans. I'm like, this is not supposed to be this way for movies. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? But we got in. And I sort of get to cheat because I don't have to buy a bunch of tickets. It's just really me and my girlfriend on night one. And then we're going to take my family later, which you probably won't have to pre-order for. We'll probably just be able to roll into the theater. So in the beginning, I was like, well, it doesn't really matter anyway. We'll see it with my parents when they get here. But we might miss out on day one. And then Ariel was like, nope, going to do it at work. Going to sit here and help. 2 phones, and then we got it. So a little frustrating, but we got there. You know, sit tight, everybody. If you're still in line, stay in line.
Jenna, did you have trouble?
I feel what you're saying, Aaron, because I've had the same thing with Funko Pops of like, oh, I'm sitting on the Target website for like an hour trying to get one Funko Pop that like immediately sells out before I can even attempt to get it, or it sells out in my cart or something. So it's like, I'm used to the frustration of doing things like this online. I was not used to doing it for movie tickets. So that part was very, very jarring. I expected this to be a relatively easy experience, all things considered, but I myself was trying to do them. My boyfriend was trying to do them. My boyfriend's brother was like at a completely separate house, and we were all communicating back and forth. We just were sitting there for an hour. I think my boyfriend's brother was in the queue at AMC for like an hour, and then it kept going up and like further and further in time. So it was just absurd. I was looking at every single theater that is even in our remote vicinity. I was like, is there like a drive-in theater nearby? Is there like one very old theater that might be showing it that has tickets already? So it was just so much trying through every possible avenue. And eventually we got them, not for the IMAX showing that we wanted, but for another showing at that same theater, like slightly later. So I'm like, I'll take it. It like, you can see how many people already have seats, and there's like a good enough crowd there already. So I know I'm still going to get like the really good crowd reaction of everybody enjoying the movie. So I'm happy. It just was so frustrating to take like over an hour to get there. It was insane.
And then there's Jamie.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Listen, I was still traumatized from the AMC app with Avengers Endgame. That was such a freaking nightmare. And so on Sunday, I was like, I'm gonna go watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for the 15th time because they were playing it nearby. And I'm like, I'm gonna go have a drink with my boyfriend, and I'm not going to worry about this. I'm like, there are a bazillion movie theaters in Los Angeles. Whatever happens, happens. You know, going with the flow. I'm not going to care about this right now because I know I'm going to get to see the movie. I know it will happen. I wake up the next day at noon, real arrested. And my best friend texted me and he was like, oh, I think that the AMC Burbank added another showing. And I was like, oh, great. See you Thursday night. 2 seconds later. So I apologize for the brag, but man, it could not have been easier for me. I got to drink. I got to watch Brad Pitt pet a dog. It was amazing.
I could not have had a more different experience than what Jamie had. I have a large group text with a lot of the comic book staff and my friends here in Nashville, and I had the responsibility of buying tickets for 18 of us. Most of them had already sent me their money for the tickets, so I had to buy the tickets because everybody was just sleeping, and I didn't want to have them wake up and be like, "Yo, I couldn't get our tickets. Like, sorry, figure it out." So I started the grind at 11 p.m. Central Time trying to get those tickets. It at one point showed me that like the theater screening that I wanted, like the night screening and IMAX on Thursday night, was just gone. It was just not listed anymore, and I was like, oh, it's sold out in like a half hour. I didn't even get in there. I ended up getting 2 tickets in my first purchase because I was just like, you can only buy 10. I found out at a time. I bought 2 and I got those, and then I was like, oh my god, I only got 2. Like, do I take Eleanor? Do I take my mom? What do I do? And then I was like, I need to get the rest of these tickets. So an hour later, I got like 8 more. I don't know why I didn't just buy 10. I was frantic. I was all over the place. I got 8 more. And then an hour after that, I got 8 more again. Wait, did I buy 16? Did I buy 18? I don't know. But anyway, I got to check because I got to get 18 tickets for people. And they're kind of all over the place. Like, the intention here was we're all going to sit together. We're not all sitting together, but we're nobody's in like the broken neck, like stare up at the screen seats. So that's nice, at least. Jim is coming, but Jim's going to have to sit by himself often. We'll make sure Jim is, we'll put him in the jail seats. Jim is going to be in the jail seats, but yeah, we tickets secured. It took like 2.5 hours. I ended up finding Flickster.com was not down at like 1:30 in the morning. I'm laying on my mom's couch, just wide awake. And then after I got the tickets, I was just so wired. It's like I just want to sleep, but now I'm so caught up in this. But tickets acquired, and we can rest now. All right. Everybody had quite an experience.
Somebody greenlight a holiday movie about Brandon trying to get these tickets. It sounds like a holiday movie where he had to go and try and secure tickets to Spider-Man so he didn't ruin Christmas. My God.
The Spider-Man No Way Home runtime is how long it took me just to get these tickets. So,
oh god.
all right. We got him.
We're all seeing Spider-Man. It's great.
More than once too. Like, this isn't the last Spider-Man, apparently.
Perfect segue.
Great segue.
Yeah. So was this in the Fandango interview, BD?
Yeah, this was. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to pull the quote for you. Yeah, this was Amy Pascal said this to Fandango.
Yeah, so Amy Pascal in an interview with Fandango said that there were 3 more Spider-Man movies in the works with Tom Holland and that they would still be in the MCU. Then later that same day, a Sony representative came out and was like, no, there isn't really another trilogy planned. And so they kind of tried to muddy the waters a little bit. My thing, and I know Brandon agrees with this because I saw your tweet about this, couldn't they just wait till after this movie came out to say this? Like, why do we need to know this already? I get that realistically, Tom's Peter is going to come out of No Way Home okay, but like, you're now making me a little bit, I don't know, like I would have loved the narrative tension of being able to see what happens to him instead of immediately knowing like, oh, you're already planning another trilogy. So like, what do y'all think?
So as you said, I totally agree with you. I'd love to hear what Aaron and Jamie think.
You know, it didn't occur to me the idea of like, oh, well, now we know he's not going to die. I didn't even think about that because didn't we already know? Like, wasn't he still contracted for at least 1 more appearance?
I mean, like, he could not die, but he could like retire, or he could just like, I don't know, something else could. I don't know. It just kind of felt like it removed stakes for me.
Yeah, you know, I have like very little feeling about it. I would love to see more Tom. And you know, I think he's trying to quit before he's 30, but boy is young. He's got some time before he's 30. So I have a feeling when they say 3 more, are they going to be 3 more standalone movies, or they just mean like 3 more appearances? That's where I feel like it's getting muddied. I think people took it to mean 3 movies, but maybe that's not what she meant. I don't know.
Well, if there's ever somebody with a history of kind of speaking out about things that might not be true, it's certainly Amy Pascal. If you go back to the Kevin Feige, Amy Pascal interview that made Feige a meme. And I think that was the first time he was really, really a meme.
That lives rent-free in my head.
That was the first thing I thought of when I saw that headline. When I saw the tweet from Eric Davis where he said Amy Pascal says they're already making another Spider-Man movie. In fact, they're doing 3 more. I was just like, Feige's just sitting there like, bruh. Like, that's really, like, that's got to be the reaction, right? Mm-hmm. I loved going into Endgame not knowing anything about what's next. And honestly, I was going into Endgame thinking, there's no way they kill Iron Man. That dude makes them too much money. Like, Cap, like, one of them's going to die. There's no way they're both done. Like, I didn't think Black Widow was going to go in Endgame. I don't know. I really enjoyed how that was done. And does this ruin the movie? No, absolutely not. But it's just something I think would have been cooler to know after the movie. Aaron, what's going on over there?
I'm just imagining that, like, in the far-flung future, if we make it there, they're gonna make some sort of like Curb Your Enthusiasm meta, like Marvel series, where it's just Kevin Feige having to react to these moments where people do this kind of stuff, and he's just sighing and grimacing and being like, "Oh God, really?"
That's the Marvel show I want to write on.
Yeah,
right there.
So many sandwiches are going to be thrown.
Exactly, it's how it feels. It's just like he constantly is just getting disappointed. Like, God. I thought about the stakes as well, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm expecting out of this movie, but knowing that there might be allegedly 3 more of them coming, I'm like, well, we know that there's some of these things are off the board, and maybe they're not. We don't know, but it would seem like this is the sort of thing that the Monday after the movie comes out, you would say to the media, you would get the weird drop from Variety or Hollywood Reporter or The Wrap or something. But no, we're just going to do it 3 weeks ahead. Like, listen, come on up. Like, come on up and get some more Spider-Man, because apparently we all just want it. Like, I could not believe the in-game numbers when they came in, like the pre-sale numbers. I was like, this thing, I'm curious to think, like, or to ask everybody else, do you think that this could be the first, like, billion-dollar movie? And that's why they're just getting ahead of it right now? The first billion-dollar movie of the pandemic era?
I think it's going to get as close to $1 billion as possible. Like, I still don't know, given how movies and habits and new variants of the virus and stuff, like, who knows what the box office is going to be, but I think it is going to outperform everything else that we've had so far this year, like, by far.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if it's really tough to imagine $1 billion in these settings. It would have been so obviously been $1 billion, maybe a $2 billion movie in normal circumstances. I just don't know how people are feeling, and that's all. Everybody's got a personal stance on that, and it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to have just a monstrous opening weekend, and I could see it dipping quite a bit in week 2 because we all are rushing to see this one right away. And I'm really curious to see, because I have a feeling that after week 1, they're going to start a whole new marketing train. You're going to have all 3 Spider-Men on the cover of Entertainment Weekly and the detailed interview about them returning. You're going to have them in trailers and on actually good posters. And then you're going to have a whole second push for those people who somehow don't have internet in their homes and don't know that these guys are back, and they happen upon the convenience store and they see them on the cover. They see Tobey Maguire Spider-Man again? Yeah, go. So then there might, whatever small percentage of people are still out there that don't know that are going to go see it, I think. And I think it'll be interesting to see how the marketing shifts and a whole new audience is made aware of the return that somehow miraculously has maintained a blissful existence.
I almost feel like they could do what they did with Endgame of like, everybody go see this again so that we can make even more money. Like that second marketing push a couple months after, especially like given how this ties into Doctor Strange, I could see them doing like, come see like a kind of double feature or just go see Spider-Man again. Like, I would not be surprised if the marketing at a certain point becomes like, just go see it again because you can see it in a theater and look at movie theaters are back, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It is interesting how this movie is just marketing itself right now. Like, we are all marketing. The fans are marketing this movie.
Yeah.
It's great. I've never seen anything like this. But all right, now it's time to get heated here. Time to get heated. We're not going to go through a full list. We're not going through a full list here. And you don't really have to explain yourself if you don't want to, because we are running late. We got to get to Hawkeye. Top 3 Spider-Man movies of all time. It can include animated. So, this was my idea. So if you want me to go first, I will. I know Aaron would be the unlucky soldier up top because
I think you have to go first, Brandon.
Yeah.
All right. I will say that my number one is Into the Spider-Verse. I think Into the Spider-Verse is perfect start to finish. Just captures everything about Miles. You have a great version of Peter. It's animated so well. It is a brilliant, brilliant film. I don't even think I can think of a criticism for that film. I love that movie, start to finish. It's brilliant. It's got everything Marvel we love about it. It's got Spider-Man times like 100. It's great. So Spider-Verse is number one for me. For me, then number two is Spider-Man 2. I think Spider-Man 2 is the best of the Raimi trilogy, obviously, if I'm ranking it up here. But I think what Tobey and what Sam Raimi and what everybody did with that and the positions that it often put Peter in and the way, like, it speaks for itself. I think it's a great movie. Doc Ock in that movie. Come on. Great movie. And then number three is Spider-Man Homecoming, mostly because I love the villain of Spider-Man Homecoming. Tom Holland is a fantastic Spider-Man. He's a fantastic Peter Parker. Not only is the sequence in the car fantastic, the fact that the best parts of this movie don't even require like crazy superhero CGI to me are what make it great, because the next scene that I want is when Peter walks into the homecoming dance and he has to choose, do I go to be a high schooler and live the social life I want to live because this is the moment where I finally get the girl and all this, or do I go to this responsibility and be a hero because I'm needed right now? And that moment also, I adore that moment. And I think the whole movie, I think Homecoming's a fantastic film. I am an Iron Man fan, so I don't have a problem with the Tony Stark stuff. Those are my top three: Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Homecoming. Boom. Aaron, now it's you.
Okay. So we got Into the Spider-Verse at 1. I mean, that probably doesn't come as a shock. I cannot believe it got made. I don't envy the people working on the second one because the first one's damn near perfect. Don't know what you guys are. Hopefully, Chris Hawkeye, I love y'all. Please come through. Prove us wrong. Please do. Have it be awesome. The second movie, I think, Spider-Man, the original one, I am a Spider-Man 1 over Spider-Man 2 person. I don't know why. I love Willem Dafoe's interplay with it. I love how it's a weird time capsule of 2001 in a lot of strange ways that it would be hard to explain to like younger generations, like in a way. And in 3, I have Homecoming because I believe that's pretty much a time capsule of the year it was released too. Like it's hard to remember the before times, but it is a pretty good encapsulation of where we were at, like pop culture wise and everything else. It makes all the sense in the world for it to be the way it is. I don't understand what's going on. So yeah. Oh boy. Kofi wants me fired for real. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry, Kofi.
Damn.
Kofi's coming in hot.
Wow.
Jenna, what about you?
I was about to say the same exact rankings that BD had, so I'll change it a little bit. But like Spider-Verse is obviously number 1. That movie, just in addition to being such a good Spider-Man movie, is just such a good movie that understands what comic books can be capable of, and like the storytelling and the medium itself. The fact that like a year after the movie came out, people were still analyzing certain scenes and figuring out certain things of like, oh, Miles's frame rate when he's swinging changes at this point because it's this point in him being a hero or something. Like, it is such a rich text in and of itself, and it feels like it's in a completely different category from everywhere else. But so that would be number 1. I would say Spider-Man 2 is probably number 2 for like a lot of the same reasons that Brandon said. It is just such a good movie that understands what it is in so many different ways. And then I agree with Aaron. I would say Spider-Man 1 because it is such a time capsule down to like the Nickelback song in the credits and just all of the different elements of it. It is so ambitious for the time and for the idea of superhero movies at that moment that like I love it for that. But Homecoming was probably like tied for 3 or number 4 for a lot of the reasons that were said.
That's fair. All right,
Jamie. Oh, this is me.
Well,
I agree. I mean, obviously, I think Spider-Verse is indisputably the best film, but it's not my favorite. My favorite is Homecoming. Homecoming checks so many boxes for me. I love Michael Keaton so friggin' much. I love teen movies. I love Marissa Tomei. Give me hot Aunt May, yes, please. All of it's a delight. And number 2 is probably Far From Home because it's a continuation of Homecoming. Is it better than a lot of what we're talking about? No, but it's one that I'm gonna watch more. And then I'm with Aaron. I like Spider-Man more than Spider-Man 2. And it's because it's its own era. Spider-Man 2 is kind of the beginning of what we have now. It's like kind of jump-started this current era we're in, whereas Spider-Man was like the end of like our childhood. And it's just wacky and kooky, and Willem Dafoe is so good. And I understand why everyone loves Spider-Man 2, but it's just too depressing for me. I honestly like, I don't want to watch Spider-Man have money problems for 2 hours. It's a bummer, man. I know it's real, and it's like a cool thing to have, like a realistic, real thing that happens in the world. I know I've had it myself, and that's why I give Spider-Man a really billion-dollar suit that he can fly around in, not have him delivering pizzas, because it makes me want to cry. It's too real.
Love it.
That's how I feel.
I don't think we got too controversial. I'm sure if Jim was on the show, that's when things would have got heated, because he would have been like, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Venom, and Spider-Man 3 are my favorite movies. So that's Jim Viscardi's list that I am putting out on his behalf. He texted me that before the show. So if I said it, it has to be true. And knowing Jim, you believe me. But all right. So we are going to actually, I want to, one of these days, probably when Hawkeye is over and we're in one of those kind of lulls of needing content and things to talk about, we're going to have a hot takes episode. Because I sent a tweet out that was like, hit us with your Marvel hot takes, basically. And it went crazy. So I want to read some of those, and I want to share ours and make sure that everybody hates us for a day, because that'll be really, really fun.
Wait.
The internet is a fun, reasonable place when you have opinions they don't agree with, and I look forward to setting it all on fire. But not today. Today is not that day. We are instead about to take a quick little break. Let us know whose lists you agree with the most in the comment section. Be nice. If you're mean, we ain't having that. You're out. In a minute, spoilers for Hawkeye. So Hawkeye episode 3 breakdown. See you. Welcome back to Phase Zero, episode 47. If you enjoyed our takes about Spider-Man, it's about to get even better, because we're talking about Hawkeye episode 3 and full spoilers. You know we like to start with reactions. Jamie, you're up top. What'd you think?
Oh my God. It's my favorite one so far by a long shot. That friggin' car chase scene could not have been more for me if it tried. What a delight. And the fact that all that fun car chasing greatness was followed up with their really sweet train moment, and then that really emotional phone call scene, it just hit so many beats. And I just was delighted. And then, I mean, that arrow was, I literally screamed at the big arrow. I mean, delight. Oh my God. I loved it, you guys.
Aaron.
Let's see. I really did enjoy this. I really am kind of struck by just how it's like, you know how whenever you talk about like the Justice League, everyone just makes fun of Aquaman. Like everybody just continuously just roasts Aquaman's life, and he's not doing nothing. He's just being with the fish. I feel like Hawkeye gets the same treatment from people, where everybody's like, this dude with a bow and arrow, he don't belong out there with them. I feel like we just answered a bunch of like, he doesn't belong out there with them with this episode. Like, for sure, he can hold his own. Clint's gonna be okay. Just what a weird showcase. And there's all sorts of like stuff there, seeding stuff for the future. But I really enjoy like Haley and his interplay and their growth of their relationship over time. That this episode really starts to sort of fast track. Like, yo, I am gonna start trusting you. No, you really are good. No, I can't hear you though. Not at all. Not even kinda. The sound design gets a special shout out from me here with the stuff in the subway car and in the entire apartment like sequence was phenomenal. Like it was so cool, like on a narrative level, on like an actual effects level, the way that they blocked that out, the interplay between them, and how much emotion you get from one side of a conversation where you can't even hear his son like talking to him was wonderful. Is delightful. This is going to be like, if it keeps up at this pace, this is going to be the best one of these by far. It's crazy to think we're 3 episodes in, and I'm like, you know, I don't want to get all like Twitter on it, but I might have seen enough.
Damn.
You know, we might be ready to call it right now.
Big statement.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that's true. Not yet.
Really?
Wow.
Okay.
I loved this episode. I mean, I thought it was by far the best episode of Hawkeye, but I thought the first 2 were just like pretty good. I enjoyed them, but this one really was a clear step above those 2 for me. So I'm not ready to put this up there with Loki and WandaVision yet. But maybe I don't know. I don't know what these next 3 have, but we'll see. Jenna, what'd you think?
I mean, I agree with everything that's been said. The first 2 episodes were already so good, and then this one just took it to a whole other level. I think Echo's origin story in the cold open is like one of my favorite Marvel cold opens that we've ever gotten. I think that was just so well executed. I think they weaved in so many things of her story in a way that like makes sense and are approachable, but are also so specific and unique to her. I agree. Like what Aaron said about the Justice League, I hope against hope that when Green Arrow is in live action again, they treat him with this level of coolness and all of the gimmicks and stuff, because just seeing the way that Clint shoots his arrows and all of the trick arrows and stuff, and then remembering how Arrow like bent over backwards to try to justify a boxing glove arrow once, I'm like, I want to see Oliver Queen like use all of these trick arrows and just be silly in this kind of level. So I'm glad that like this is giving people a respect for Hawkeye and for like archery characters in comics, because there are so many more. But yeah, this episode is just so much fun. I'm close to agreeing with Aaron. I think if it keeps up the momentum, this will probably be my favorite show, which is saying something.
Wow. I love this episode, and I actually had a similar conversation with Jim over the phone this morning, where he was saying that he thinks this might be the best show yet, and I was just like, I've only had one episode that I really like, which was today's, that I just thought was fantastic and loved it, like really, really awesome. The first 2, I really liked them, but not like to this level. I thought it really took a big step up with episode 3. And like, I know it sounds like a criticism of the first 2. It's not intended to say the first 2 weren't good. It's just to emphasize how much I liked this one. That phone call scene was great. The depth they're giving to Clint is really, really nice. Haley Steinfeld as Kate, you can't say enough about what a good job she's doing playing this fun, ambitious, overconfident, like just really sweet character. And Kate really is just so, I am so excited for that she is part of the MCU. And that first sequence, I mean, you guys touched on all these things. The sequence with Alaqua Cox as Maya Lopez showing, like, I can't imagine like the feeling a deaf kid probably has seeing that. Like, it's like, oh, like that's me. Like that, the way they portrayed that really felt special. It's not something I can understand personally, but I can only imagine that means so much to so many people. And I thought they did it. I personally think they did it very well. It really was like a touching way to show how the like not being able to hear was impacting this kid, and the way that her father was trying to help her. And then that sequence with Ronan killing her father, like that was great. In the we're going to talk about this, but that was kind of a change from the comics, and I'm interested to see if they end up making the tie to a comic story in one way or another. But I mean, I thought this episode was brilliant, and Echo was just fantastic. I thought the ending of episode 2 was kind of cheesy, where they did like a villain pose where Echo just kind of stepped it onto her mark, and I was like, okay, we get it. This big bad's coming in a way. But overall, Echo was just brilliant, like so good. And now the story of Echo and how it ties to Clint and the conflict that's going to create morally for Clint and for her. And will they ever be able to see eye to eye? Probably not. It really was awesome. I thought it was really, really good. But yeah, so now we're going to talk about some of the details of the episode. I have accidentally closed out my rundown here.
I just have to say, like, her father's handprint on her face just like gave me chills, because like, given the fact that her costume like has that as a component of it, I was just like, oh, this is such a perfect way to like seed that in, so that eventually when we do get to that costume and that look, it's going to feel like so much more impactful.
Yeah, it reminded me of Finn in The Force Awakens with the handprint across the face and the stormtrooper. But really, that is in the comics. For everybody who doesn't know, Echo in the comics she wears a white handprint on her face as part of her disguise, and it's influenced by the fact that her father, who was called Crazy Horse in the comics, died, and his blood from his hand was on her face. But Kingpin killed her father in the books. So I guess we're just going to get into this now. Kingpin kills her dad in the books, and when her father is dying, he asked Kingpin to promise to raise his daughter and give her a good life, and Kingpin honors that, even though he has now killed her father. And so now, the hand in the episode, they thought they wouldn't notice, but we did. That's obviously Wilson Fisk. That's Vincent D'Onofrio. That is Kingpin. And I think that is so dope. I think that's awesome. I don't know when we'll see him and how much we'll see him, but I think it's awesome because Kingpin is he adopts Maya Lopez, and that's obviously the uncle they're talking about. Does anybody disagree?
No. I saw a comment that was somebody saying they were I have not watched oodles of hours of Law and Order to not recognize that chuckle for 2 seconds. But it was it has to be him. I love the way that they're doing that reveal, because if you know, and that gets you excited about the idea of potentially seeing him. But if you're not aware of Echo and Fisk's connection, and you are just kind of following the show as it goes on, that reveal is going to hit people so much more, and I think they're going to be really excited.
Yeah, the fact that they're bringing these Netflix actors in just shows that Marvel Studios really knows how to make the fans happy. I don't think this is a continuation of Kingpin from Netflix. I think this is a variant. I think this is the MCU's version, and I don't think the Netflix stories will be fully embraced into this continuity. Maybe they'll say the multiverse is out there, they'll connect it that way, but I do think this is going to be just a new the same way J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson is a fresh take on the character that was introduced in Far From Home. I think it's going to be the same thing with Kingpin, which I think is going to disappoint some people because the Daredevil show is fantastic and has a massive fan base. But hey, we're getting them back. We get new stories, and it doesn't then give an opportunity to dampen any of the stories you already love. I think it's a win-win.
We have devolved into so much looking at people's forearms and hands. We have done so much forensic analysis here in this corner of nerddom. Now I'm I can't wait to see what other weird this little corner of the screen analysis. Nah, man, if you think about it, he's got a mole right here. It can't be him. I'm expecting that level of silliness. I'm excited. I don't know if anybody else would be I know that when things go away that you really enjoy, they don't come back in exactly the same form. It can be a little bit disappointing, but is anybody really going to feel bad if he's if the first time we see him, he's looking at a big blank frame? Is anybody really not going to mark out? I don't know. I don't think you got the guts. I don't think you're built for it. I think we're all suckers for real. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Oh, but do you think that Wilson Fisk bought Avengers Tower?
I could see that. At this point, anybody bought Avengers Tower. As we said last week, it's a Spirit Halloween. So if it's not that, then Fisk owns it right now. I don't know.
This show is making every effort to not show me that part of the skyline. I'm telling you right now, I scanned through every frame of that car chase and the bridge and everything. It's just not showing me that part of the skyline. And I keep hoping, and I just know I'm not going to see it, but I keep looking and I keep hoping. If Kate Bishop doesn't know who bought Avengers Tower, how should I? Okay?
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's talk about
so
that.
Hung up on this.
Yeah, listen. Yes.
This is BD's white whale. You don't understand. He's been searching after this.
I don't sleep at night because I just want to know who bought the tower. That was my Nova audition for the really emotional stuff. Let's talk about the Pimtech. Let's talk about the Pimtech era. I don't know what, I just thought this. I kind of think this is a really nice flip on the sequence from Civil War, which is a famous comic cover from Avengers 223, where Ant-Man rides the Hawkeye arrow. Now Ant-Man Tech makes it giant. Thought it was genius. Loved it.
It was so perfectly silly. Like in this way that it, like this show still feels so grounded and so in the Matt Fraction, David Aja style of like that Hawkeye run. But then we're still having these moments of whimsy and of just this like really kind of stupid stuff that still is just so cool. Like that was not a reveal I was expecting. I'm so glad that they did that because it just shows, like again, as we were saying earlier, it shows how skilled and how like useful Clint can be in an Avengers setting.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it shows you, man. Listen, we can't trust Bridges, y'all. I'm warning y'all now. 3 weeks from now, we can't trust Bridges because there was none of that big arrow in any of the promos. We thought it was just gonna be a car chase, and it was not just a car chase. So, oh god, what
this
Bridges?
This is the Bridges origin story. This is their villain origin story, and that's why they're so mean in No Way Home because they got a big arrow to the face.
I will say though, like I was worried when that fight sequence started because I was like, oh, this is the thing they showed on Disney Plus Day. Like, is the reveal of this going to be ruined? And then it's like they hid so much from the full sequence that it was still so much fun to just experience along the way. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because I was so worried of like, oh, we're just going to see like bit by bit the stuff from Disney Plus Day and then just move on. And it was like, no, you still had surprises for us.
And a shout out to Bert and Birdie, not only for having cool names of Bert and Birdie, but also for the way that they shot the reveal of the Pimtech arrow, that it was out of focus. And then when the focus racked up to the arrow and we saw that it was Pym, that was just a nice touch. And honestly, shout out for that car chase, the continuous shot in that car. There was the cars.
That's some great acting or directing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. Bert and Birdie knocked this one out. And now let's talk about the end of the episode. If there's anything else we want to talk about, this is your chance to drop a comment. If you guys have anything to talk about, obviously we'll get to that. But my last thing that I wanted to talk about was Jack Duquesne with the sword at the end. I'm not going to be shocked if this doesn't result in a fight. Maybe it'll have like a little bit of like a little showdown until some words can be exchanged. And then we're going to start to see Jack is not the bad guy here. That's what I think. In this house, Jack is not the bad guy.
I felt that was such a weird ending point because I agree. I'm not worried about Jack at all. So but I think that it's like, well, we don't have time to like have a normal kind of episode ending because we only have 3 episodes left. So I thought they were like, this is a good place to cut. But I think you're right. I think the next one's going to start and it's going to be like, oh, Kate, this is your friend. Let's have a conversation. I don't see there being a sword battle immediately.
Go ahead.
I was wondering how we would get to the Jack Defense Squad. Like I knew that was going to happen at some point in this conversation. He still has the Ronin sword from my understanding. So like that is the thing we still have to address. So even if he's not true evil, which I don't necessarily think he is, I think as we said, Eleanor is probably much shadier, but like we still have to address that. And I'm sure Clint is probably going to discover that while they're in that scene. So I'm curious to just see where it goes, whether it's a sword fight or not.
I could definitely see them having a little spar right there and Clint disarming him because we know that Jack is good with a sword from the fencing sequence. And he's swordsman in comics, but I don't know that he's going to go the swordsman route. I think we're going to have basically Clint fighting to disarm him in one way or another because he wants that sword back. And then when he gets there, that's when Kate is going to be like, you have that sword, you killed Armand. And Jack is going to be like, I didn't. I'm just your stepdad. So that's my thoughts. I thought it was a cool cliffhanger, though. I enjoyed it. Aaron?
I mean, he literally could just be like, who the hell is in my house? He could literally be
right.
Because they snuck in and he's just like, just kind of goofy, like, let me just grab what's handy. Here we go. I have this. And it could just all be just one big misunderstanding. I would take open bets right now. He's going to offer Clint butterscotch before the end of the first 15 minutes of the next episode.
I hope so. I see the comment section is actually all talking about Yelena, and that's something that I had forgotten because because this story has become so all enthralling in itself that I forgot that Yelena is going to come in and try to kill Clint, basically, right? Like that's what we assume after that Black Widow post-credit scene, and that's going to be crazy. There is so much more to look forward to. We got Kingpin expected to show up. Yelena is going to come wreak some havoc. Yo, this is wild.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting as much Yelena as people hope, but I'll take any Florence Pugh sprinkle I can get into my eyeballs. So
I did wonder if the fact that the that kind of like interrogation moment where they were asking about Ronan, and he said Ronan is dead. Black Widow killed him. I'm wondering if like those sort of lies are making their way around it all and made their way to Yelena, because obviously, I mean, Clint being said as the murderer of Black Widow isn't really true. Like, yes, he was there and he tried to do it to be the one who fell, and she did it. So I don't think Clint is responsible for Natasha's death, but Yelena believes so because of Valentina. So yeah, that's going to be I'm with Layla. The Black Widow mention made her cry. It did make me a little emotional. I was like, wow, she's really gone. But
we're headed for one industrial strength Mexican standoff with all of these people thinking that another person is responsible for their misfortune. And
you know who is?
Yeah,
that's gonna be Wilson Fisk, right? Come on.
He gonna just stroll in the middle of everybody fighting and be like, all right, you guys can stop now. All right, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna monologue for the final 5 minutes of the last episode and tell you guys what you're gonna do. Everybody's gonna go home. I own everything. I own the tower right now. He's gonna pull out a thing and beep beep it like it's a freaking car. And it'll be the watch that he presses. Sure, why not?
Is that watch gonna matter?
I honestly am just convinced that it's just like a gift from Vanessa, or it's just something like it is just a sentimental thing. I almost want to just be like, did he lose it in like a poker game with Tony Stark or something? Like, it's going to be the most innocuous possible reason why that watch was in the tower, and he just wants it back for sentimental reasons. Like, that's my guess.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like I'm with you because I can't think of anything else. You know what I mean? So
it also like it's such a silly MacGuffin. It's like it would be such a Hawkeye thing for the MacGuffin to have like no actual real purpose in the grand scheme of things. Like, it's just a sentimental thing. Also, can I just say, like, we talked about it a little bit last week, but like the classic costume scene where she's like drawing at the diner was so good. And then yesterday, a behind the scenes video came out for episode 1. They made that costume. A LARPer wore it in the scene, and then they cut it out of the episode. So like the full mask with the H exists. And I just want to see Jeremy Renner wear it just for like 1 second. Like, I need that.
Yeah, I'm here for that. I want to see it. I was hoping that branding conversation in that first episode or second episode, those first two, was going to lead to that. And now she's trying, but he has shut it down. So I don't know if Jeremy Renner's ever going to be willing to wear that, but hopefully. Was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about from today's show?
Imagine Dragons made me laugh.
That
was so good.
I did see there was a continuity error in the first episode, the first scene, the Stark Tower. The K was still on the building, and in Avengers that was like the first letter to go. So I'm wondering, do you think this is going to pull a WandaVision and like kind of make a computerized edit to a scene and fix it so there is not a continuity error when you compare that to Avengers?
I don't know.
We don't really have the answer, but they don't release these things as physical media anymore. So that's a bummer. I just posted a photo of the stack of the full MCU movies on my Instagram this morning. And I wish they would just release these as physical media, because all of us good people agree that movie cases count as decorative pieces of furniture in the house. So
sure, talking to the right person here. Yep.
Yeah, look at that. Look at Jamie. Yeah, movies, physical media is a decoration in the home. All right. And I would really I'd buy these series on 4K. I'd probably never open the case and watch them, but I'd be happy I have it. If you put some bonus features on there, great. But all right, guys, I think that's a great place to end today's show. The cry for physical media. Don't let it go the way of the dinosaurs. If you guys want to talk more about Hawkeye, you can hit us up on Twitter. Jenna, any last words for today's show?
No, I feel like none of us said bro this episode, which is kind of surprising.
Oh, you're right, bro.
Bro.
Damn.
But yeah, follow me on Twitter at @HatesJennaLynn.
Aaron, any parting words?
Keep them Spotify raps coming. I love seeing them. I will say thank you. I will probably retweet or quote tweet some of them, because that is just a bonkers thing. Thank you guys so much for listening and for being. We never think you're gonna wake up and be like, wow, I'm in a bunch of people's Spotify raps. That's pretty ill. I can't hate on that.
That's awesome.
Jamie,
this has nothing to do with anything, but I'm begging all of you to please watch Saved by the Bell on Peacock. It is the best TV reboot. Doesn't matter if you love the original. It's like 20% nostalgia, 80% amazing, great teen comedy. If this show gets canceled, I'm going to be really, really upset. Do your part and please watch Saved by the Bell. It's really good.
I saw a clip of the Joss Whedon joke, and that just like actually made me LOL. So
there are
I might
a lot
check
of
it
good
out
burns
just based off of that.
He's not the only person they dunk on. It's, oh God, you guys, it's so good.
Very good.
I'm putting that on my list. I've been spending the week at my mom's house for helping her recover, which meant watching a lot of TV. And when we got through all the firefighter and cop and medical dramas that she had to catch up on, we turned to Ted Lasso and Yellowstone. And I've been enjoying those. And now I'm adding Saved by the Bell to our list. So thank you for that. Jamie, everybody go follow at Jamie Cinematics. Aaron, last words for today's show.
He already said
He went.
Oh, wait. Oh, my God. I am like, listen. I got like 5 hours of sleep last night. I'm tired. All right. Those are my last words. Don't follow me because I got nothing left to say. It's episode 47. Follow the Twitch channel. Thank you guys for being with me. Have a great weekend. Bye.